Animal fairy Fawn is tracking a monster. She's waiting for the right moment to help monster pull out the thorn stuck in its foot. But the moment she touches the thorn, monster wakes up in pain. It glares at fairy angrily.
What to do? What to do? Play dead! No, freeze!
Monster let out a furious roar, blowing Fawn straight out of the cave. But kind-hearted Fawn refused to give up. That thorn felt like it had pierced her heart. If she didn't pull it out, she'd surely toss and turn all night. She didn't know how long she waited at Monster's entrance. Monster finally poked his head out, scanning the surroundings warily. After confirming it was safe, he limped out. Fawn cautiously followed Monster into the forest, and discovered he loved collecting minerals, storing them all together. But the thorn in his foot severely hindered his movement. The pain left him helpless. Whenever he encountered larger rocks, Fawn immediately had an idea. She bound a stone with vines, and hung it from a tree. While the monster stood still, Fawn seized the chance to fly to its paw, and yanked out the spike. The monster felt pain, and the stone in its mouth fell. Though it didn't hit Fawn, her foot was tightly wrapped in vines. As the monster lunged toward her, the monster didn't devour Fawn. It was only interested in the stone. Glancing at its paw, it licked the wound with its tongue, and was astonished to find the pain gone. It glanced at Fawn, before continuing to gather its favorite minerals. The monster gathered roadside aloe, chewed it into pulp, mixed it with saliva, and spat it onto the stones. It then pressed the stones together. Fawn grew curious about what this monster was doing, and began observing its behavior. To get closer to Monster, Fawn made a dress from its fur, but Monster paid her no mind. Fawn wanted to help Monster stack stones, yet it remained unmoved. It even crushed Fawn's makeshift bed. As dusk fell, the fairy dust on Fawn caught Monster's attention. It touched Fawn, and the golden dust scattered instantly. Monster watched the dust happily. Then Fawn used the dust to help Monster gather stones. This time, Monster didn't refuse Fawn. She was finally accepted by Monster. As night fell, Monster didn't destroy Fawn's little bed again. Instead, it kept stacking stones. Early the next morning, Monster woke Fawn. A strange tower stood before them. Fawn curiously flew to the top. Before she could examine it closely, Monster swept her up with its tail and placed her on its head. Then it carried Fawn to another clearing. Monster stamped his foot on the ground, signaling Fawn to build the same stone tower here. To help Monster, Fawn sprinkled fairy dust on the stones, which then magically floated into the air. Monster watched the stones curiously, then gently nudged them with his head, and they stuck together. This thrilled Monster to no end. With Fawn's help, Monster unlocked many more stone stacking poses. Now not only was efficiency boosted, it had become quite fun. Just as they were playing enthusiastically, Monster suddenly exerted too much force, sending all the stones flying into the sunflower garden. The fairies in the field nearly got hurt, which also caught the attention of the guard squad. Seeing trouble brewing, Fawn quickly led Monster to safety. The fairy guard immediately began hunting the monster down. Fearing its massive size could bring disaster, they resolved to eliminate it. They hurled a tranquilizer smoke grenade at the monster, but Fawn dodged the attack with the monster in tow, and successfully escaped. To uncover the monster's origins, the captain visited the archives, and uncovered information about the monster. Through fragmented images, the captain discovered this was an ominous monster. Meanwhile, Fawn sought out her best friends, asking them to look after Monster temporarily.
Hi, Grub!
Fawn then went to find the queen, only to discover Captain Fairy reporting to her. This monster was called the Never Beast. It awoke once every 1,000 years, constructing 4 strange stone towers. Green clouds would then appear in the sky, followed by thunder and lightning that destroyed the entire valley. To protect their homeland, the queen ordered them to capture Never Beast, but Fawn refused to believe it. She felt the kind-hearted Never Beast would never do such a thing. Just as Fawn fell asleep on the monster's nose, a shooting star streaked across the sky. Green clouds appeared on the horizon, and Never Beast's eyes changed. When Fawn awoke, Never Beast had vanished without a trace, so she set out with Tinker Bell to find the Never Beast. But Tinker Bell was attacked by the creature. When Fawn arrived, a pair of horns suddenly sprouted from the Never Beast's head. Fawn began to doubt. Could the Never Beast truly be a terrifying beast? The Never Beast had just recognized Fawn by scent, when a giant net descended from the sky, trapping it securely. Countless fairies swarmed in from all directions. They hurled tranquilizing smoke bombs at the Never Beast. Helpless, it gazed at Fawn, struggling to move toward her. Then the Never Beast's vision began to blur. Finally, it collapsed to the ground. Fawn felt helpless, watching as the Never Beast was carried away by the fairy guard. Just then, the dazed Tinker Bell awoke. She told Fawn, everyone had misunderstood Never Beast. A bolt of lightning had struck the great tree. It was Never Beast who pushed her out of the way, saving her life.
He was protecting you? He saved my life.
So Fawn rushed to rescue Never Beast, but just as they untied its ropes, another bolt of lightning struck. Never Beast pushed Fawn aside, taking the lightning strike itself. Immediately, its horns turned golden, and its entire body glowed with a blue light. Never Beast attempted to soar into the sky, but blind as it was, it couldn't tell which way to go. It could only stamp its feet in frustration. Only then did Fawn understand why Never Beast had built the stone tower, so she decided to guide Never Beast. Led by the fairy dust Fawn scattered. Whenever Never Beast passed through the tower connected by lightning, the thunder gathered between its twin horns. Guided by Fawn, Never Beast swiftly caught 3 bolts of lightning, but disaster struck with the final strike. A boulder shattered the stone tower, scattering rocks that struck Never Beast. It plummeted to the ground. It was Fairy Captain who had destroyed the tower.
What are you doing? Saving Pixie Hollow! No, he was saving Pixie Hollow.
Just then, the sky, which had turned blue, turned green once more. Countless bolts of lightning then struck down, beginning to destroy Fairy Valley. 1 bolt struck the Fairy Captain. In that critical moment, Never Beast shielded her with its body, absorbing the fatal blow. It then collapsed to the ground once more. The captain finally realized her mistake. The creature they had schemed so hard to eliminate was actually the guardian beast of Fairy Valley. Never Beast tried to rebuild the stone tower, but it was too late. Thunder and lightning continued to rage across the sky. Fawn gazed at the green sky. After a moment, she decided to fly into the clouds with Never Beast.
Follow me.
They soared toward the clouds. Each lightning bolt could have obliterated Fawn, but Never Beast caught one after another for her. Just as they neared the center, a colossal lightning bolt struck down. Never Beast pulled Fawn away just in time, while bearing the lightning back into the clouds himself. A flash of white light then pierced the night sky. Fairy Valley returned to its former tranquility. The fairies looked up at the sky, searching for Fawn and Never Beast. At that moment, Never Beast and Fawn plummeted from the heights. All the fairies flew up to catch Never Beast and Fawn. Never Beast was now covered in wounds. Its horns shattered, its wings reduced to ashes. Fawn no longer breathed. Never Beast rushed to Fawn's side, but could detect no sign of life. Gazing at Fawn lying on the ground, Never Beast let out a series of mournful howls. In its sorrow, its body crackled with lightning. Its electrified fur touched Fawn, and the lightning coursed through her body. To everyone's astonishment, Fawn began to breathe again.
That's my big furry monster.
Never Beast had finally fulfilled its mission, joining forces with Fawn to avert the disaster. The fairies and monsters worked together to rebuild the valley. Yet after completing its task, Never Beast would once again fall into slumber. So the fairies prepared a soft pillow and a pool of water that never runs dry. Worried Never Beast might fear the dark, they also lit a small nightlight that never goes out. Never Beast took a sip of water, then settled comfortably onto the pillow. Fawn sadly bid farewell to Never Beast.
I love you, Gruff.
Never Beast slept for another 1,000 years, hoping that when it awoke next time, the fairies would treat it well too.